I did a video. You know how qualifiers and givens go, right? I did a video a while back about artificial intelligence, artificial light, finite light, or if you will, data management services, like data on Star Trek. So I was using data on Star Trek, and so this is really the essence of knowing one from the other. Okay, so for example, I've explained before when I landed on the island of Kauai, Ion. When was that? Last year sometime. Well, actually, it wasn't this last Christmas. It was the Christmas before that. So as soon as I landed at the airport, having a rainbow turnstile protection that protected everyone on the plane, right? And too bad I didn't have a camera to take a picture of it. But when they finally, because of the COVID screening stuff, right? I let everybody know that was preventing me. I said, you're committing a federal crime, even under your laws, your rule-based functions. You're committing a crime because you're kidnapping me. You're holding my energy captive. Your state of consciousness is holding my energy captive because you're following the rules, and the rules that you're following are against the law of one. Because I am what love is. They don't know how to translate that. That's how how deeply embedded the programming is. Out of fear, which is lack of healing. So when I finally got outside, you wouldn't believe how this happened. They were going to let me go out of the airport to go walk out on the earth, Mama, on the island of Kauai, where all I needed to have in order to get the permit to leave the building, like Elvis leaves the building, was to get somebody in a hotel or a motel on the island willing to say that they were COVID compliant and they were going to allow me to stay there. And if that being that works in that motel or hotel is willing to say, yes, we have a room for you, which means I had to have a place to go to be COVID compliant in order for me to get out of that building. So then I said to myself, okay, so let's say that I can't do that. What are you going to do with me? You got to provide me with, under Geneva Conventions and Nuremberg Doctrine, you're going to have to feed me, give me a place to stay, right? See how that works? So the point of all this is that when the lady at the hotel accommodations realized the situation, sure, we'll make a reservation for you, and they were willing to make a reservation without the credit card. That was the deal, see? You needed a credit card to hold it, see? You know how that works. In an inverted system about chasing electrons and all that. And so the bottom line is I was able to get out of the building, right? This is a binary war game with an AI. There's another story that's associated with that, and I don't know that I've ever explained that, on how a magnetic strip works, on whether or not you can travel based on whether or not the AI wants to allow you to travel by the electrons that are held within the count that would allow you to travel, but the electrons that are held in one biometric account are not going to be allowed in order to be able to make what would be a transaction between something that is dead and something that is living that allows you to be able to travel, because that's what happened with United Airlines. So I could have filed a suit against United Airlines, for gazillion bucks, because what it really is holding energy captive, right? Which is what? That's a kidnapper. Okay. This would be a federal kidnapping case, but you can imagine with the FBI how that would go down, right? I already know because I've already dealt with them in the past, and they're worthless, absolutely worthless. Even in the old program back in the late 1950s, that show with the FBI, I know. So anyway, the point of all this is that when I finally got out of the building, I just flagged down a cab and I said, take me to the nearest beach, right? So I can take my shoes off and plant my feet on the ground because I remember this island. And that's when I could feel Mama's essence, the essence of her spirit. That's how you know the one you're with. the essence of a living spirit with an oversoul. And so so that's living energy, which is living light, which is what love is, which is what the law is, and living spirit with an oversoul. Okay, that's called validation, right? I know you. I know that's as simple. That's pretty simple for a child to know that, right? A child of one, a firstborn star, a living star, eternal star, which is eternal love that's on fire to give love away. And so that's knowing one from the other, right? And so there was a lady that asked me a question yesterday when I was sharing some information about hot magnets, cold magnets, low pressure, high pressure, atmospherics, ethers, servers, and speed, right? And it just sort of flowed the way that it came out of my heart, because I use my heart to communicate what it is I've learned. And she made a comment to me about, where did you learn all this, right? As if the insinuation of the way that she worded it was as if you learned it through one of their schools. In other words, you went to school, you spent a lot of time reading. In other words, you were looking for some external source of information from which you learned what you shared with me, and I'm learning what you learned. And I explained to her that, listen, yes, you do have artificial intelligence, information management service providers, data providers, right? Data packets, email, this system that's set up on the planet, the internet, the DARPANET, the darknet. That's what it is. It's dead energy. That's what dead energy is. It's finite if it's dead, which means it's got a shelf life, which is what I call a limited edition, right? Like limited edition of Blade Runners. So what I explained to her is this is real simple. Ever since I was a little kid, if I want to know what's going on, my heart and soul knows what's going on, because I have a communication pathway, right, with the EFFI field, which is the knower of all things. Now we're in the world of, remember the guy that was the director of the, the FCC, the world of things, the Internet of Things. So what we're talking about here is information, if you will, mathematical, geometrical information, which is the flow in the form of the energy. So when you have a one connection to the source from which it all began, then that means the source from which it all began, which is eternal love, is informing me of what's happening. Okay, so what that means is that I do not need the internet or a slowpoke to give me the information after the fact. That's called water under a bridge, which is a rainbow arcing bridge. Which means it doesn't matter anymore, does it? Because it already happened. And whatever happened, if you were supposed to experience whatever happened, wherever it happened, you would have experienced it directly. So that's the difference between direct experience and indirect experience, which was the same thing as what we knew as children, which means, hey, you're over in Mississippi. What's going on over there, right? Well, it depends on the density that you're running and the multidimensional learning, because of how much you're connected to, that you can experience, in which you're getting the information by being logged in, right? Logging in, logging out. Now we're back to logos, log operating system, log scales of water distribution tables, right? Because of the way that sound moves through water to communicate. We're mostly water. So now we're into fire and ice, between a hot magnet and a cold magnet. So I was explaining this to her, right? That if I want to know what's going on, I already know what's going on, because I'm being informed of what's going on without having to grab a cell phone and know. Which means that the EFFI field is a source of information, which is the knower of all information, because nobody's running faster than that in things that are happening simultaneously throughout the entire cosmos. That's a cosmic level spirit, which is a cosmic level antenna. Okay, so you're plugged into the source from which it all began. That's the one. The one is letting you know. So when you have a one connection, that's the first line of communication, which is the first pillar. First pillar of light, the eternal star, the eternal one, the one eternal true God, as God is defined. When I was a child, I'm experiencing it's like a life jacket. Remember, I've mentioned this before, being anchored to a magnet, a magneto. Anchored to the magnetospheres, the echo worlds. So the echo worlds had to have something to do with this. Yeah. See, so I call it winding your way down a flagpole. Spiraling down a long way. The way that the first fire engine, the first firefighter, or the first spirit of fire is winding its way down from higher consciousness levels to lower consciousness levels, from higher creation to lower creation, because there's a major problem down there because somebody called tech support as a facilitator up above. Hey, we need you folks to come on down here and help fix this problem. We're the first out. We're God's first messengers. Neurons, neuron messengers. Yeah, the bioelectrical chemistry. Now you're back into electrical dynamically linked libraries of circulation. Right? What's being circulated? Now we're into servers. The information that's flowing through servers. That's what I'm experiencing right now. I call it clearing out the servers. Right? So, if you will, the cellular memories are now waking up. Right? So, and clearing what I call goo codes. The catalyst, the self-organizing way in which information is held in a library. So we're all running off multiple libraries, multidimensional libraries of cellular memories, right? Cell membranes, memory on a chip. So you know what a monopole is? That's called euphemistically a mated chip. Mated. Oh, so the boy and the girl decided that they never wanted to be separated from each other in order to run a powerful blast furnace to experience being the one. Yes, that's how simple it is. So that's like nuclear fusion, right? And fission. Decide to become one, right? Electron, protons, neutrons. In other words, all little units, all the units that represent consciousness, which is energy, is all experiencing being loved from whence it all began. That means we healed the entire cosmos. That's a cosmic level reset, huh? Because, love is the law. So if somebody said, oh, that's not true. Oh, yes, it is true. That's what true love is. Well, I'm not experiencing what love is. Yes, you are. You're experiencing love that I'm experiencing through me. Now I'm sharing it with you. So now you're into the frequency. Yeah. So I don't know of a better way to be able to explain it. So so that was my response to her. The information of what I become aware of at the moment that I become aware of it, it's called a magnetic moment, because that's the speed at which those magnets open and close. Right? So, yeah, so now you have a non-reactive state. I'm not reacting to anything because nothing's happened yet. Now I'm experiencing what just happened. Okay, so that's a magnetic moment. So what were you experiencing at that moment? What does it feel like? Wow, that's a powerful emotional wave, energy that is in motion. It's in perpetual motion. So now we're into the spiritual flow and form in which the colors in our mirror, yeah, how beautiful it is. And that beauty is in you. It's in me, because we're experiencing love that we're both sharing with each other. Because we're on fire to experience a universe that is on fire. Yeah, so there's got to be a way to cool it down, right? So you know that firefighters use different extinguishing agents, like in computer rooms, using halo N, right? Because you don't want to interrupt the circuits of computers in there, right? In a cool room. Ever been in a laminar flow room? Keeping out dust particles and stuff like that get into those circuits. So yeah, and then of course you have carbon dioxide. Some of the extinguishers that I've used before, carbon dioxide. Now we're into the fire triangle and the fire tetrahedron. Right? Cool it down. Yeah, particularly for folks that have been around liquid nitrogen. Shattered glass, cold as ice running through the veins, warm-blooded, cold pressure, hot pressure, right? Yeah. PSI, pressure-sensitive instruments, hypersensitive sound instruments, hypersensitive sound and light field. Yeah. Basic stuff. I know, Mama. So it's another beautiful morning here on the Big I. I went out and greeted the sun. Pink diamonds. Good morning from the Big Island. Hamakua.